All right, let's see if we're live. Let's see if we're live. Let's see. Okay, we're live. All right. Oh gosh, I hate this lighting. No, I don't like that. I don't like this lighting, but it's fine. It just looks like I'm so sweaty, you know? It looks like I'm so sweaty here. It's just like, it's like a light, like a ray of just, you know? Let's see. Okay, it looks like this, it looks like I have such a big light on my forehead, and then it also looks like I'm on drugs, but I'm not on drugs. Okay? Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this to Twitter, and whoever wanted to see this on Twitter can now see it on YouTube. Okay? All right, so Prism actually makes this. This is live. This is live, and the problem was actually the problem was actually Prism. It was actually the app that I was using, and sometimes, I mean, the last time it did this was months ago, and so it's really weird that it's doing this again. Okay. Yeah, it's really weird. The last time it did this was months ago, and so we're just gonna keep doing this. The only problem is that, like, I hate the way I look in this. Like, the light is just reflecting on my face. And so Prism has like a filter that just, it makes that go away. It just makes it like a normal, you know? Like it just makes it like it just makes it like I don't know how to explain it. But anyway, I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this link with everybody so that they can watch it too. It's okay, I'm not paying Prism. I'm not paying them. Oh gosh, I hate this. My forehead looks so big. My forehead looks so big, and this light is like reflecting on my forehead. Gosh. Gross. Why is tonight so gross? Okay. We're live on YouTube. All right, we're live. Okay. We're just gonna do this. We're just gonna do this. We're just gonna do this as if like nothing happened. Okay. I actually did not clean this, and this is not my room. Okay. My room, I'm gonna show you later. Okay. We're live on YouTube. We're live on YouTube. Okay. So it's probably gonna be a lot fewer people, but someone is saying YouTube is stealing Pardes' youth. It's so sad. YouTube is making me look like, I don't know, YouTube is making me look like sweaty and dark, you know, like dark and sweaty. And I hate it. I hate how I look on YouTube, because they don't have like this, they don't have like a filter that like takes away these reflections. So I look like I'm like one of these people having hot flashes, and I hate it. Okay. Yeah, just tell everybody that you got back from the gym. All right, I'm gonna tell everybody that I got back from the gym. Anyway, so while we're waiting for people to pour in, okay, I'm in a new place, okay, things are going good. I honestly really feel like traumatized from the past couple of weeks. Just like everything that happened like the past couple of weeks, I'm constantly moving around. Everything is constantly changing. And sometimes I take it like personally and I think like, you know what? Maybe it's like a problem with me, okay? And maybe like I have an issue. And other times I'm like, well, the circumstances are pretty unstable. Maybe I'm not, maybe it's not like in my head that I'm unstable. Maybe the circumstances are actually unstable and like it's like a chicken or the egg, you know what I mean? Like things are so unstable and then it causes you to like internalize it and then you act all unstable and then it just causes everything. So it's like a cycle. And I just sometimes I wonder like what is it? Am I the problem or are these things the problem? Am I the problem? Like am I inherently like unstable or are my circumstances unstable? And so that's like a question that I keep asking myself. And that's why I'm in school. That's why I do these live streams. That's why I go at least once or twice a week. I work from my friend Howie's office because these things are like constants in my life. These things are stable. Things that I know are always going to be there for me and that I'm always going to do. I'm always going to go. Christo says, figured it out, tell people to go to videos at the top of YouTube. All right. Catch says, 22 says, kids nowadays are like you, very, very anxiety prone, very self-conscious. You'll get out of it. All right. So, I mean, and yeah, it's true, like whenever I talk to my friends or like whenever I talk to somebody else, they seem to have the same problems. It's not just me. I know it's not just me. I know that like when I have conversations with other people, I see that other people have the same problems too. But when I go online, okay, like when I go online and I look up my problems, when I talk to not real people, for example, for the first time in my life, I started seeing a psychiatrist this year. And really, really nice. Like, I mean, I've been going to therapy for the past 2.5 years, and I love my therapist. But I started doing something new, and like, maybe I should go and see a psychiatrist. Maybe like the problem is me, and this stuff won't go away if I just keep like trying to work on it, myself. Bart says, I thought we were your therapists. Yeah, you are my real therapists. You guys are my real therapists because you actually see me every night. My therapist just sees me like, 1 hour, like once in a while, you know what I mean? Like you guys see me every night. So you actually know. And I'm actually more open on here than I am in any other setting. So it's kind of like, So sometimes I think like maybe Alex says I'm your living, breathing diary. That's true. This is basically my diary. Okay? Like maybe maybe there isn't anything that I can fix. Maybe like I've hit a dead end and there isn't anything else that I can work on myself. Okay? Maybe there's nothing left to do. Maybe my circumstances are just perfect at this point and they can't get any better. And maybe I've done everything I can do. Maybe I've done everything that I can do. And there's absolutely no solution left. And the only solution is to take pills. And so that's why I went to see a psychiatrist, because I was like devastated. Like, you know what? For the past few years, ever since I left home, ever since I left the religious community and abandoned everything, my life has been just a series of unstable, crazy things, one after another. And so I thought maybe going to see a psychiatrist is gonna be just the last stop. That's gonna be like the end of everything. And so I went to see a psychiatrist, and it just became like a game ever since then. Okay? Ever since then it became like, all right, okay, you have this problem? Well then, here's a medication. You're feeling this emotion? Oh, well, here's a medication for this emotion that you're feeling. You have this type of emotion? Oh, well, here's another one. And it's like, I mean, over the span of just a couple months, you know, just experimenting with like a bunch of different medications and adding on, like, here's another type of medication for you. Here's another type of medication. And it's like, you know what? I don't actually feel better. Like, I don't actually feel better. I'm taking this this anti-anxiety medication, one of this anti-anxiety medication that I was prescribed. It's like so strong. It's this, I've never tried, I went from I never took any sort of medication my entire life, okay, to like taking this really, really, really strong, I just fell asleep. And it was just so heavy. It's just like I wasn't even there. And I don't feel better. Like, when it wears off, I don't feel better. I don't feel like anything in my life has changed. I don't feel like I have a better, improved mindset. I don't feel like I've learned to deal with my problems and learned to communicate better with people. I don't feel like any of that happened. I literally just feel like I've learned to become dependent on something that could be screwing with my brain. Okay? And I also learned that in the beginning, I was just like, you know what, I'm just totally gonna defer to the experts. The experts know everything. They know what they're doing, and I'm just not even gonna talk to anybody about it. I'm only gonna talk to like a psychiatrist who spoke, by the way, who spoke with me for 20 minutes, okay, after all this, okay? And so then I started being more open with friends. And so, you know, just hearing what people's problems are. It turns out, all my friends have the same reactions to things, you know what I mean? In the same situations, everybody would react the same. You know what I mean? If everybody had the same situations, they would react the same. Maybe we're just humans. Maybe we're not. Thank you so much, Kevin. Kevin's sending me a big, warm bear hug. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. I'm giving you a bear hug, too. Maybe we're just humans, you know? Maybe we're just, maybe we're all the same, and we all have, the same feelings. You know, it's I'm feeling anxious because I have to do this thing. Yeah, I was sitting at work. This is one thing that happened, okay? I'm sitting at work, okay? And my complaint was that and it became also with my therapist too. Like ever since I started with the psychiatrist, I felt like, okay, now the therapist knows that I have a psychiatrist, so she started kind of doing that too, like very, very, very subtly. Like it would be like, oh, so in the past it was okay, so I have this problem, I can't focus at work, okay? So in the past, she would be like, okay, let's talk about the reasons why you're not focusing at work and let's get to the bottom of it. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Okay, you need to like refine your mindset on this and blah, 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 okay? And now it's just, oh, you're having problems focusing at work? Well, why don't you try Adderall? And so now it's like, okay, yeah, all right, why don't I try Adderall? Okay, well, and I really just feel like I'm in the same place where I am. All right, I'm reading some of your comments. 22 Catch 22 says, my doc gave me Wellbutrin to take the edge off when I stopped smoking. I couldn't remember my own name. Mike says, been on antidepressants since a teen. Sometimes they don't feel like they're working, can't stop either. Bart says, I tried Adderall too. Joe says, why not try them all? Why not try all the medications? You know what? There's a reason why I feel depressed in some situations and I don't feel depressed in others. When I'm back in LA, or when I'm back in certain places, I don't have the same issues that I have when I'm here. Okay, I might have like different types of anxieties, being around my family, being around people like my childhood. That's why actually tomorrow my childhood friend is coming and visiting me. My childhood friend Lila, she's we've been friends since we were like 9 years old. We were best friends, but she lives in a different state, so we don't see each other and we don't even talk to each other so much, but every time we talk, it's like we just are continuing conversation. She feels like family. She's like my family. She's the one person, she's like I want the best for her, because it feels like no matter what happens, she's always going to be there. And when I'm around those people, I don't have the same feelings. So maybe it's not an inherent problem. Maybe certain problems you can't just fix with a pill. Maybe the pill is certain life circumstances. Maybe you need to be, you know what? Some people are extroverts. Some people just need to be out in the sun more. Some people need to not be at home all the time. Some people need to like travel, you know, like we're all different. We have different needs. We don't all need to be zombies. You know what I mean? Like every time you have a problem, go and take like, I don't know, go and like smoke a joint. Like, okay, smoking a joint is fun and great, but like lifestyle makes a difference. Diacritical says, you have such high energy. Can't even imagine how Adderall would affect you. You know what? DC is a tough place to live. And there's a reason why DC has like so many. Kevin says, I've discovered that family is the best medicine. And I totally agree. I totally agree with you. Why is it that suddenly when I'm not in DC, and suddenly when I'm in a different place, when I'm around family or people that I grew up with, suddenly I don't have these symptoms, right? Why is it that? Why is it I suddenly don't have these symptoms? Is it because my body suddenly changed and suddenly I'm not a crazy person anymore? Or maybe it's because my circumstances changed. Right. Diacritical says nothing wrong with talk therapy to start, helps take on a new perspective sometimes. Psychopharmaceuticals are a big step. Kevin says my brother is my best friend. Cherish the time with your parents. All right. Mike says I turn into a wreck when I stop using THC. TLH says Washington, D.C. people have to drink baby's blood to feel good. Yeah, exactly. All right. So, Vardy says communication is a solution with relationship problems. You know what? Like, a lot of problems are actually communication problems, and like I see with friends, family, like different people, a lot of times people just feel misunderstood and they can't communicate. They're just like in their own world, and it seems like they're crazy and like they feel crazy, they don't know how to express themselves, and they just end up in this world of solitude where they're just like they can't get out of it. And sometimes people just really need to talk and communicate with other people and not feel like in their own little hell. And we're not doing that because we're just so fixated on like, all right, this person is feeling or thinking this way, then they probably are crazy. They probably have this mental problem and they probably need to like go and be in a mental institute. It just makes me really annoyed, actually. So Jordan Peterson is the latest example. Jordan Peterson he went to rehab on Saturday. Was it Saturday? He had checked into rehab in New York because he was addicted to an anti-anxiety medication called clonazepam. So he started taking this medication apparently a year ago after his wife got cancer. His wife, and he was really stressed out. Everybody was really stressed out. Actually, the person who broke the story was his daughter, Michaela. She has a YouTube channel. She's really great. Go check her out, Michaela Peterson. And she described on her channel that it was really stressful, and like she even stopped having her period the time that they were like her mom was getting treatment because she was so stressed out. Like it really had a major toll on everybody's body. So her dad was put on this anti-anxiety medication, and after a while, like even though her mom actually beat the cancer and she was fine, he ended up getting like really addicted to the meds, and to the point where she says that like he was like a lost puppy. He looked like a lost puppy, and it was like really it was hard for him to get off of it, and so that's why he is in rehab. But it's scary to see that people are getting hooked like that on pharmaceutical meds that are prescribed to them by experts. He's like he helps people get over their addictions. He's helped so many people in their lives, and it's sad that someone as big as that could fall into the trap himself. It's also sad that according to the NIH, almost half of Americans who have drug problems, half of Americans who have died from drug use have been it was half of drug deaths in the country, almost, involve prescription medication, which is really crazy. It's really insane that almost half of the opioid related deaths in the country should involve prescription drugs. It's really messed up. And people are so like, oh, well, you know, if there's an expert involved, you know, why is our culture like this? If there's an expert involved, you know, sometimes you need it. And it's like, sometimes you need it. 7 out of 10 Americans have taken at least. Okay, let me check. Let me check the stats. It says 7 out of 10 Americans are on at least one medication. Okay? Where is the stats? All right, here it is. Mayo Clinic says 70% of Americans are taking at least one prescription medication. It's not even that at some point they took it, it's that they're taking at least one prescription medication, okay? 20% of Americans, 1 in 5 Americans, are on 5 or more medications. How messed up is that? How messed up is it that 70% of Americans should be on at least one prescription medication, okay? It's like, it really blows my mind. And the fact that people keep pushing this and playing into it, it's not even that prescription meds are causing anything. You know what I mean? It's that our culture is so fixated on quick fixes. Like, quick fix for everything. What if we talked more? We don't talk. People are so afraid to talk about their feelings because it makes you look like a fool. Because our culture is so afraid of like this. You know what? I'm a fool because I sit here and I talk about feelings that are real. I'm a fool because I'm being like open about stuff that, by the way, everybody feels. Like, if I go on Twitter and say something like, oh, like, I'm having a shitty day, and like, I feel so whatever, shitty today, whatever, like, people have shitty days, you know what I mean? Just because you said it and you acknowledge it, it doesn't make you a fool. But for some reason, for obvious reasons, our culture is just so afraid of communicating, because having any sort of human emotion makes you just a crazy person. You're not supposed to have any sort of human emotion. You're supposed to be a zombie, okay? You're not supposed to talk through your feelings or talk through your problems or try and solve the issues in your life and try to make things better. You're supposed to take pills that will make things better in your brain. In other words, make you not feel things as much. Thank you, Joe. Joe is reminding me that that I'll get demonetized if I say bad words too much. Jason says, get rid of the obesity and you solve most of the problem. I mean, Washington, D.C. has the highest amount of mental illness, and people in D.C. are actually pretty fit. I rarely see fat people in D.C. Mike says, I passed out in a friend's bathtub once on Special K and had trouble breathing, and later he died in a bathtub from HOD, heroin overdose. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. I really hate the lighting in this. Like, I might actually delete this. I might actually delete this video later because I hate the lighting. Christo says it's the 8-hour workday plus 2 hours in traffic jams that makes people sick. Jason says I wasn't linking obesity to mental illness. All right. Prescription drug use. Okay, I get it. TLH says dying in a warm bath is not a bad way to go. Oh my god. Kevin says people are just craving human interaction. A lot of people are lonely. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to admit that you're lonely. You know what I mean? Like, of course, if you're like, I mean, in my case, like, I don't have to justify my being lonely. I don't have to, it doesn't have to be that I have a mental illness. If I say that I'm feeling lonely, that I left everything, I left my community and my whole lifestyle, I left the whole religious community, barely talked to anybody from my past except for my immediate family who are still very, very different in a very different world, totally different city where I didn't know a single person. I moved here and among a lot of people who are just very cold and just always want something and very just had so many bad experiences with just very awful people. And it's okay for me to say, like, I'm feeling lonely. You know what I mean? And I've made some amazing people, made some amazing friends here who've been there for me, who've really made it less bad. But, like, it's okay to say it sometimes without it being like, oh no, you have this mental problem here, and here's a drug for you to fix it. You know what? Maybe I just need human interaction. Maybe I just need to fill a void. You know what I mean? Without a pill. Maybe I just need time to build a support system. Just like every other person my age who moves out and is like in somewhere new and is trying to figure shit out. Okay? Like, it's okay to admit that you're having a rough patch. It's okay to admit that, like, I know a lot of people my age are broke, okay? Haven't saved anything. It's okay to admit that. Kevin says, I feel lonely and isolated all the time. We all do. Christopher says, I'm glad I started watching. Thank you for watching. I'm glad you started watching too. And a lot of us are like-minded. That's why we watch the same live streams. That's why we're like, that's why I started doing this because I was watching other people's live streams. So I started doing my own, and then you guys will start doing your own eventually. You guys will start having your own live streams. I recently started catching up with a friend, okay? All right. Drive by says, we had a kid and I don't even have time for depression. That's actually a good thing. You know what? Like, today basically was like a really busy day, and I was like doing a bunch of things. And I was also like assembling a lot of furniture because I moved to this new place and there's so much shit. I also had homework to do, and like when you're like really busy, and not just busy, but like you're busy doing productive things and like building things, and things that make you feel accomplished when you're done, like building something where like you've got a tangible result. It really takes you out of that. Like, it really helps you, because as humans, we are made to build things. We're supposed to be building things. We're supposed to create things. Building a family. raising kids, like doing things that are real. And it really helps to do that. So that's a good thing. Not have time for depression. Diacritical says, I made a move from everyone and everything I knew to New York City when I was just a couple years older than you. Still feel isolated 25 years later. Wow. That's huge. That's real. That's a real thing. And people don't talk about it. Thanks for sharing that. Like, people don't talk about it. Because, like, no one wants to admit it, but literally everybody has the same experiences. Because when you actually open up and tell people about it, then they'll be like, yeah, that's the same thing that happened to me. And it doesn't have to mean that you have, like, a mental problem. It literally is. And the thing is, like, it's also a cultural thing now where people, because of instant communication and because of, like, we travel a lot, so it's very common for people to actually move out of their homes to, like, somewhere totally different where they don't know anybody, and it's more common now than it ever was. And so, like, of course people are going to be alone and they're going to be by themselves. Maybe it's not like this thing in the air where everybody's suddenly mentally insane. Maybe, like, the circumstances are different and people are in more isolated situations. And maybe the internet is making it so that we are all communicating less in person. Like, when I was at the office, and, like, my last job was actually really great. It was my summer job. I really loved it. Like, I loved the people there. I loved my boss. But there was one thing that drove me nuts, and it was that we would communicate with each other. We would communicate through, like, we would communicate just through Slack. And even if, like, we were in the same office, like, we'd go to work every day to be around other people, but, like, we're around all our coworkers and everything, but we're still communicating through Slack, you know? Like, Slack is basically this. Slack is, like, this, it's this, like, social network type of thing for people, like, for coworkers, right? So if you're, it's kind of like, it was made for people who work remotely, so you can communicate with your coworkers even if they're not there in the office. But it just, now it's just being used, and now I see, not just my workplace, I see a lot of people doing this, where, like, they'll use it instead of, they'll use it even if they're still in the same office. So, like, instead of calling over the counter and be like, hey Jim, you know, can you help me with this thing? Or hey Jim, like, you know, what is your take on whatever? And you would just do it through Slack. You would just be like, hey Jim, even though, like, Jim is sitting right across the cubicle, like, right in the cubicle next to you. Hey Jim, what's going on? And it's like, no one's actually communicating in person. Like, okay. All right. Justin says, I've seen people cubes away message each other. Hey, Dan. What up, Dan? Where are you that it's morning? Where are you that it's morning for you? Joe says, I used Slack when I was working at Inuit. Am I in Europe? Dan says, far away. Alex is in Europe. Is Alex in Europe? Yeah. All right. Where's Felix? Where is Felix? This is really strange that Felix is not on here. We have to do, like, a hashtag. Also, Nate. Felix and Nate. See, I remember you guys. I remember when you're not there. I keep tabs on you. Okay. All right. So people are saying that this is a problem in other places too. The opioid crisis is everywhere, so maybe it's not just Big Pharma. Actually, it is Big Pharma, because the United States actually has the biggest problem, actually. America consumes most of the world's supply of painkillers, okay? If you include Canada, Western Europe, it increases to 95%. So the remaining countries only have access to about 5% of the opioid supply. Okay? All right, the prescription drug overdose is now leading cause of death among people under the age of 50. Okay? So now the younger generations are actually dying most from prescription drug overdose. So it's actually not even that it's like 50-50 between prescription drugs and illicit drugs. It's actually now becoming more like majority of deaths, okay? It's likely that the number of overdoses exceeded 59,000 in 2016. Prescription drug overdose. Okay. All right. It's really sad. And everybody's playing along with it. Everybody's just like going along with it. 1 in 10 Americans have a drug problem. Has a drug problem. 1 in 10 Americans has a drug problem. Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Let's see. So 24.6 million Americans aged 12 or older had used an illegal drug in the past month. And this is actually in 2013. So now it's more. The number is up from 8.3% in 2002. Marijuana used to be the most common. I think now cocaine is the most common from like the illegal drugs. And yeah. Marijuana is not like so addictive, by the way. All these big pharma companies are cracking down on, they're even cracking down on CBD, okay? It's so dumb. Marijuana is like the least addictive. Actually, it's the least addictive after shrooms. Like shrooms are like the least addictive, and then marijuana, okay? And they're just like, they're cracking down on these things. They're cracking down on vaping when smoking is the real killer. They're cracking down on marijuana when actually prescription drugs right now are the real killer. Right, sure, I'm sure there's a lot of benefits, and good, there are a lot of benefits. I mean, prescription drugs are saving people's lives. There is no doubt about it. But the fact that we're using prescription drugs to treat mental health issues that could be worked through in a more positive way together with therapists instead of just, trying to cure the whole thing with some pills. I think that we're overdoing it, and I think most people would agree that we're overdoing it. Most people would agree that people are being over-medicated, and a lot of people are not even going to get diagnosed. And when you talk to people, they'll say that they'll give this reason. They're afraid to go and see a psychiatrist. and they're afraid to go. They're afraid to go and seek therapy and seek psychiatric treatment because they know the statistics. They know that if they go, they're probably, I mean, when you go and see a psychiatrist, the psychiatrist's job is to diagnose you with something. You're not going to go and see a psychiatrist and then they'll be like, oh, well, you know, turns out you're a normal human being with normal human problems and normal human feelings. He's not going to do that. You're going to go there and a psychiatrist is going to say, well, you know, you have this feeling, this symptom, okay, that, you know, here it is. You've got ADHD, okay? You've got anxiety. You've got hypomanic depression. You've got, what other things do people get? I don't know, like chronic anxiety, whatever. Like, they'll just, instead of being like, you know what? Why is it that the overwhelming majority of Americans are diagnosed with mental illness? You know what I mean? Like, why should if the overwhelming majority of Americans, if only a tiny fraction of Americans don't have a mental illness, then can you see how there's a problem there? And that fraction of Americans that don't have a mental illness may very well be people who just never went to get diagnosed. People who, like, if they went to get diagnosed, they would also be diagnosed with something. If they went to seek psychiatric help, they would also be diagnosed with something. Isn't that crazy? What if everybody's crazy? What if everybody has a mental illness? Okay? It seems like if everybody went to seek treatment, everybody would be diagnosed with illness. Kevin says, in my line of work, sometimes we have to get a person off all medication and start over to see what is going on. It works well for most clients. What kind of work do you do? I'm curious. That's really interesting. So I'm curious. $22Cash22 says, when 9/11 happened, my pharma buddy said he ran out of anxiety meds by the end of the day. I don't know why YouTube sometimes censors your comments, but some of them are really funny ones. Kevin is an advocate for people with developmental disabilities and autism. That is cool. Kevin is an advocate for people with developmental disabilities. That's really interesting. So you actually know your shit. That's really interesting. So Kevin says that in his work with people with developmental problems and autism, they sometimes have to get people off of all their medications in order to get to the root of the problems. Wow, what a concept. Getting to the root of people's problems instead of just, you know, cruising through with zombie-inducing medications. All right. Christopher says Kevin is a speech pathologist. No, it doesn't sound like it. Mike says I failed the ADD test but couldn't stand Ritalin. How funny is it that everyone, I remember going to a room and being like, like with a group of people, I was like, yeah, I have ADHD, and like everybody else is like, yeah, I have ADHD too. Oh, I have ADHD too. And it's like, so everybody has ADHD? Is anybody here normal? So like nobody's normal because everybody in this room has ADHD. What if everybody in this room is normal? Like, what if because every single person in this planet has ADHD, what if it means that like if you don't have ADHD, then you're not normal? Okay? How many Americans have ADHD? How many Americans have ADHD? 6.1 million children. 11% of all children in the US have ADHD. 11% of all children in the United States have ADHD. That's crazy. 11% of all children in the United States have a mental problem called ADHD. I mean, that's just ADHD, by the way. There's probably many other mental problems. All right. And people are like, oh yeah, more and more people have mental problems. You know what? Actually, more and more people now are more enlightened and more civil than they've ever been in past generations. We're actually a very smart, civil society compared to our previous generations. And people don't necessarily have more mental problems. People are being diagnosed at a higher rate. Christopher says, I don't have ADHD, but I sometimes take 5 milligrams of Adderall to drink late, and that is not healthy at all, but I don't tap out early. TLH, I like your comment. YouTube is censoring it. I don't know if I should like uncensor it. Like, am I gonna get demonetized? TLH says 11% need their ass beat. Drive-by says, they tried to diagnose me with ADHD. I figured they knew WTF they were talking about. They figured it out by giving me a form to fill out. My doctor didn't ask me any questions and gave me Adderall. Drive-by continues, I took myself off of it after a week because I couldn't sleep. I ended up finding out I was working, studying, and keeping my social life in check. Definitely not ADHD, just stupid sometimes. Okay. Alex says we're continually told this is the best time to be alive and you're brilliant. What if we were just taught and encouraged to just like work through our problems, and it's okay, it's gonna be okay. Like, if you work hard, you'll be fine. You know, like what if you just work through your problems and like talk to people and stuff like that, instead of just everybody being a victim of like, oh, everybody has a mental health problem. Everybody's got like another, I couldn't do my homework today because like in undergrad there were so many people who got like unlimited time to take their tests, to take their exams. I had a lot of friends who were like, yeah, I have a learning disability, and like it was always ADHD because everybody has ADHD at UCLA, by the way. Okay, they got into grade school, they're smart enough to take their SATs and get into great school, and then they get to UCLA and they're like, I have ADHD, or like I have anxiety. I have like this mental problem or like this learning disability. It makes it really hard for me to take my tests that are timed. So basically, they're given like unlimited time in a special room to finish taking their tests. It's the dumbest thing ever. you can get unlimited, at UCLA, you can get unlimited time to take your exams. You can be in like your own, they'll give you your own room, like a special room. Just take your time, enjoy yourself. While people like me, I would literally, every time I took a test, I would puke. I had so much anxiety when I took exams, I would literally puke when I took my tests, okay? But like, you could just totally go and to the disabilities office and say, I need to take a longer time. What if we just encouraged people to try and, like, what if we just didn't put a stamp of mental disorder on every single person who couldn't take their test? I don't think I have a mental disorder. I think I just get really anxious when I have to take a test. I don't think that means that, like, you know, I have this disability that's gonna carry with me through life. That's not gonna stop me from doing things in life. That's not an inherent problem. That's an anxiety that I need to work through, and that I can work through, and that everybody can work through and should believe that they can work through. Dan says 12-step programs are goofy but way effective. No one knows why, and they cost nothing. Interesting. Kevin says, when I was in college, it seems like there was no option to be late on assignment. Teaches you how to do work against a deadline. That's what college is supposed to be. Paul says, we stole Greta's dream. Mike says, I scream at God for 6 months straight alone, away from people. Then maybe okay. Man, tonight is a night for trolls. Alright, guys, it's getting late. It's getting late and everyone has to go to bed. It's almost 1:30 in the morning and everybody has to go to bed. Diacritical, tonight's stream. This is really late. Nate, I'm so happy that you made it to tonight's stream. I was getting the feeling that you might not be able to come live anymore, and I'm so happy that you made it. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Alex, stop bribing me. Stop bribing me to stay, Alex. Good night, Dola. Dola's going back to the safe space. Good night, Christopher. Joe. Alex, see, now you encourage Joe to bribe me. Oh my gosh, you guys. You're like bribing me to stay. Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Alex. Alex has given me permission to go to bed. Alex has given me permission to leave and go to bed. Okay. Good night, everyone. Before I leave, I just want to say something. Like, it's okay if you take prescription meds. And this is not saying that you should get off your meds if you're on anything. Because it might really help you for the time being, or it might help you for all the time being. And it's okay and it's good. But it doesn't have to be the only solution. And there are so many. You should just know that whatever problem you have, it's not inherent to you. Prescription meds should be like supplemental to whatever else you're doing to make your life better and happy and do things that you enjoy and have a fun life and be around people you love and try and find people in society that make you feel loved and less alone, because we all feel alone on some level, and it's really hard, especially if you don't have people around you, if you're not in a relationship or you don't have people around you that are like family or people who are very close to you. It's really hard, and you're not crazy for feeling alone or depressed. You're not crazy. You're literally just having a normal reaction. You're having a normal human reaction. And so that's circumstantial. You're having a normal reaction to your circumstances. And it's okay to react that way, and it's okay to feel that way, okay? And if the circumstances were different, maybe you wouldn't feel that way. That's not a problem with you, okay? So just know that, and you're not alone. As lonely as you think you might be, you're not alone, and you're not crazy, okay? So use your meds as something that helps you. Don't use it as something that makes you who you are, okay? Because it doesn't. All right. Dan says most boomers are pharmacologists, get some as guests. Maybe, that's a good idea. Okay. All right, everybody. Love you, everybody. Okay. Sweet dreams. See you all tomorrow night. And last night I made the mistake of staying on Periscope and not YouTube. Not anymore. I'm gonna stay on YouTube, no matter what happens. Also, you guys bribed me too. Had some bribers tonight. So because of you, but also, like, I remember the people who are on this stream. Farty is asking me about the med. I don't take the anxiety meds. I don't take them anymore. I just took it a little bit, and it was too strong. Like, I was literally just sleeping, just not even conscious. And I actually think of taking it, but I'm scared that if I start taking it now again, like, I'm actually scared of getting addicted. I don't think it's addictive, but I'm just scared that I'll become, like, I'm scared that I'll just keep taking it every day, and I don't want to do that. All right? Maybe I'll take a little bit. Okay. But I don't need it. I don't need it. I started doing morning stretches, and that really helps, and there's so many other things that I could do that helps me, that are like normal human things of doing, that normal things, human things that make me not need to take a pill. Okay. All right. Okay. Love everybody. Love everybody. Okay, good night. See you all tomorrow night.